Am I wrong for telling my son he will pay back for this cheese meat or he won't be eating Thanksgiving tomorrow? I'll keep this one short. Every year we have a charcuterie board before Thanksgiving meal at 6. Just something everyone can pick at so they aren't dying of hunger by dinner time. My son, 16, loves cheese, and due to this, I make sure to label when he can't eat something. I label all the stuff for Thanksgiving don't eat. Well, yesterday, he went and ate all of the fancy meals and basically ate from each block that I bought. I truly was pissed since I worked extra hours to pay for it since the prices are awful now for a nice cheese. I told him he needs to go to the store to replace all of it, which would cost him around $70. One of the cheese he ate was $18, or he doesn't get to eat Thanksgiving meal. He is refusing to pay for it back, so no Thanksgiving meal. He will eat a sandwich, and he thinks I am a horrible jerk. My husband is on his side and doesn't understand why I'm so pissed about it. Edit. Thank you, I made up my mind. I already informed my mother-in-law of the situation. She offered to bring a nice cheese board if he still refuses. I am giving him one last chance. He can buy it, not get Thanksgiving tomorrow, or work for 11 hours to make up the money. I like that idea from a Redditor. I have a feeling he won't do either of the options given, so probably no Thanksgiving, and my relatives will understand. A commenter said, you can tell which people responding in here do not cook big stressful family dinners. It's not just the money. It was the time planning, the drive-through, the shopping, the labeling, do not eat this, the mental calculation of how much extra time OP would have to work to pay for the food, and I don't hear any better suggestion for an immediate related consequence. Not the a-hole. Another commenter said, I get it. He's refusing to pay to replace it. Another punishment is necessary and there should be consequences for his actions. I will likely not bother replacing it and have him prep the charcuterie board with whatever's left. Anyone complains, oh sorry, son already ate that. Let him get a load of itch from literally everyone, maybe then he'll actually feel bad. Also, you're still not the a-hole. It's not like you're telling him he can't eat. More like he already ate his share, then some. Am I the a-hole for refusing to pay for my stepdaughter's college? My 48 male stepdaughter Hannah, 18 female, is going to attend college. I know her for around 4 years since I married her mother. The issue, though, is that we've never gotten along well. I have tried, but she always says that she doesn't like me and wants her real dad. When I try to tell her stuff or scold her for behaving out of order, she'd say, you're not my father, you're just some stranger. My wife, Emily, asks her to behave properly as well, but she doesn't care to listen, and in the end, she stopped telling her as well. I had to pick Hannah up at school once, and when a couple of people who did not know I was her stepdad asked her who I was, she said, oh, he's a servant actually, in front of my face. I was extremely mad at that and even resulted in a huge argument, although she played it off as a joke, but this was the last straw and that happened a good few months back. After that, I have always treated her as if she's invisible and barely had any interactions with her unless absolutely necessary. Well, she talked to me presently and said she's got to apply to college and wants me to pay her fees now. I refused and asked her to ask her real dad, who refused to pay for it himself. She began to protest and said I'm affecting her education and that I cannot do that. But I did not relent and said she's not my business now. My wife says refuse to pay is wrong and that I overreacted even though she's not been nice to me. Am I wrong? A commenter said, not the a-hole. Told her you can't afford it on your servant's wages. Seriously, her two birth parents have had 18 years to save up for her college education. You have had 4 years of putting up with her rudeness with no backup or support from your wife, her mother, and she has the temperity to speak to you now that she wants your money. Now she can have 4 years of missing out on her dream college and think over how treating someone else less than human isn't a good life strategy. Yeah, commenter ate that one up because why would you expect a servant to be paying for your education fees? You know what I mean? Aside from her being rude, like that's so rude. Imagine someone saying that to you. Oh no, I don't know him. He's just a servant. I would have choked her to death. Like that is so rude. But yeah, OP is not wrong. I would just ignore her and act like she's invisible. And I would just say, why would I be paying for your school fees considering I'm just a little servant? You know what I mean? Am I wrong for poisoning housemaid who ate my food without my permission and ended up in the ER? I, 19 male, recently moved into a shared place and there is someone who keeps stealing my food. At first, I thought it was just a mistake, but even my leftovers were being eaten. It was very clear that the person was doing it on purpose. I spoke to my housemate about how I would just prefer to be asked first, but they were nonchalant about it, and none of them admitted to doing it. And I haven't caught anyone in the act, so I just try to ignore it as it only happened every couple of days or so. A few days ago, I came home from work with a carton of eggs that I found while dumpster diving and some bread. I wanted to give the eggs the water test first before eating them just to make sure that they are safe to consume, but I was too tired and went to bed early without eating. The next day, I found out that one of my housemates got so sick he ended up having to go to in the emergency room. My eggs were not in the fridge where I left them, but I saw the carton and shells in the trash and my bread was open. I had a hunch that it was him because there was a possibility that the eggs had gone bad, but I was also annoyed at the fact that he helped himself to my food without asking. When he came back, I asked him if he had eaten my eggs and bread, but he denied. I then said, okay, but I hope whoever ate them doesn't get as sick as you did because I found the eggs in a dumpster. His face immediately dropped and he looked visibly uncomfortable. He got angry and went from saying that he may have consumed the food by mistake as he wasn't paying attention and he doesn't exactly remember and accused me of poisoning him. He said that it's a health hazard to bring such food in a communal space without warning everyone first, as it's not uncommon for people in shared places to eat other people's food by mistake. He hasn't spoken to me since then, and my housemates are siding with him and called me disgusting for doing that. A part of me feels like I wasn't wrong because they were my eggs that I was fully intending on eating, and I didn't think I had to warn people against eating food that didn't belong to them. But I also do feel bad and guilty that he got sick. So Reddit, please tell me if I was in the wrong. Edit, just to clarify, because I see comments that suggest that I may have done it on purpose. I didn't. I had been dumpster diving for some of my food recently, so I was fully intending on eating it, just like eating the food that I have been finding while dumpster diving. I try to exercise caution, and thankfully it hasn't made me sick yet. But had he not eaten it, I was probably going to end up in the ER myself because I was obviously going to eat it. I didn't randomly do it just to try to bait and catch whoever's been eating my food. Food poisoning is not a joke. As I said, I just moved recently and I'm just trying to get on my feet. I also understand that although I make sure to wipe my food first, ultimately it's gross to put food that came from a dumpster in a communal fridge or pantry and will not continue to do so. I will just put it in my room from now on. Like people who eat people's food, whether it's like a communal, like whether you're a roommate or it's a shared work fridge, are the most disgusting diabolical people I've ever seen. Because I remember when I used to work at Nursery Rack, there's always been this coworker people have been complaining about, saying that the person is eating their food, they're taking people's lunches, they're taking people's snacks, and HR and the managers, everybody knew it and they would never do anything about it. And I'm like, to what level of shameless do you have to be to eat random people's food, random people's snacks, to touch something that doesn't belong to you? That's disgusting. Aside from it being unsanitary and unhygienic, because you don't know people's hygiene routines and what they be doing when they're eating their food and where their hands have been. But that's disgusting, because what if you get food poisoning? What if something happens to you? Why are you just touching random people's food? That's so nasty. And even then, even if the food is clean and if it's delicious and if it's good, even then, why are you eating random people's food that doesn't belong to you? That is so shameless. And I remember at my job, there was cameras, people knew who it was, but the person never gotten fired. And I left and the person was still eating people's food. And I'm like, why would anybody want to do that? That's so nasty.